Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in central Minnesota or whatever. You know, I'm uh I'm here today because it's happened. It's happened, and I owe you all so much. Where to start? Where to start? Look, I've got to come out with this right away from the start here. Go all the way back to the beginning. I mean, it's not really the beginning, but just after the beginning. I am pro Vic Mignogna. I am. Oh, God. Finally saying it. Finally saying that. It means. Oh, God, it means a lot. I am. That's not it. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's just. This is a process. This is a process. This is about being upfront, owning up for what you've done, what you've stood for. Okay? So I'm very pro Vic Mignogna. I try to hide my bias. Video after video. I can't even count the time that I spend trying to pretend neutrality, okay? And just only be neutral from the start. I'm sorry for deceiving you guys. It was duplicitous. It was awful. It was awful. So there's no more of that, though. No more. I can't keep it up. I can't keep up the neutrality. I can't. I'm You know, it's about admitting it to yourself first. That's the hardest part. That was the hardest part today. Telling my children, the looks on their faces, the disappointment on their faces. And I told them, guys, I support Vic. I don't know how to even look at you guys. But I did that earlier. That was my entire day up until now. Now it's just me with you. So I support Vic. I'm pro Vic. I'm not hiding that anymore. We're out. We're in the open. Now we got to get to the matter of the GoFundMe. Okay? Here. Just want to show it. I'm going to take it off the screen in a second in shame, in humiliation, a little bit of humiliation. I take it off, but I just want to show you that that's what it is. $252,000 on 36. Ever since I started the GoFundMe, no one knows this. No one knows this. But really, ever since I started the GoFundMe, I've been focused in many ways on finding ways to maximize the success of the GoFundMe. It was wrong. It was wrong of me to do that. What I should have done, I should have tried to not have donations to it. I should have tried. So things might come up from time to time, and I would worry about it. I'm like, okay, look, I want this thing to succeed. I want people to donate to it. I want to grow this dollar amount for a lot of reasons, okay? But mainly just to stick it to those sons of bitches on the other side. Grow that dollar amount. Grow the dollar amount. It's a message. It's a symbol. It's real tangible money for that big trip to the Caymans. It's everything. Grow that dollar sign. So then things would come up. I might ask someone about it. I shouldn't do that. I should never have asked anybody's opinion on what might grow the dollar sign. Why would I want to do that anyway? Why would I ask? I don't know. But there are multiple times, guys, where I've asked people what they thought might increase or decrease contributions to the GoFundMe, and for that I'm so sorry. I don't know why I hid it. I don't know why. I guess sometimes you grift everyone, but sometimes the grift grifts you. So I've done things. I've done a lot of things. I've asked people's opinions on things. I've considered how to word things. And underneath all of it, I was for Vic the entire time. And I was trying to grow that dollar amount the entire time. All the times where I said, I don't want this GoFundMe to succeed. I actually did, though. I actually did. And I'm going to take these L's. I'm going to take these L's. And I'll have to take them all the way to my grave. I know that may not console some of you. I know that may not be good enough. But no one's going to buy an L. What am I going to do with it? No one's going to buy an L. I can't even trade it for Shane's chair. Just going to have to keep him. So one thing I get out of all of this, I guess. Maybe L means lesson learned. Yeah. I think that's what this is. Oh. So here's what's going to happen next. This is very important. I'm going to shut down every channel I have. I'm going to move my family hundreds of miles away. And I'm going to open every channel I have up again, only to say that I'm never going away. And you can't force me to move. And I'm going to shut my channels down again. And then maybe I'll open some of them. Oh my God. Oh, guys. Okay, I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry. It's taking too long. That was like the longest 9 minutes. That was 9 minutes. It felt like an hour. Oh, boy. All right. So, how you guys doing tonight? What's up, guys? This is Nick Rekieta, your host of Lawsplaining the Interwebs. Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And with me today are you beautiful people, a GoFundMe that is over $252,000, and just such joy to come on here and do this so often. I was gonna say every night, but it's not every night. It's just many to most nights to come on to hang out with you guys, to talk about this stuff. So I thank you for indulging my drama, my dramedy. This is a dramedy, right? If you think I'm going to apologize for any of this stuff, obviously no. An apology would require wrongdoing. Nothing of the sort has occurred. So what we've got, as always, are people coming to the shocking revelation that I am in support of Vic Mignogna and that I'm trying to increase the donations to the GoFundMe. That those are two primary objectives when I do streams about Vic. That's what I'm trying to do. There are things that give it away. For example, like the link to the GoFundMe being at the top of every single video I've done in the last like 4 months. That's one small hint. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I put it up on videos even when they're not about Vic Mignogna, only because I'm really, really lazy. And I just copy and paste the description and just edit like the text. But all the other stuff is the same in every video. So I just leave the GoFundMe as the top thing. Like I could go in and try and maximize justice chats or maximize social media engagement or something by putting those things and moving them around. I don't do that because I'm really lazy. But the kicker of all that is that, you know, I just leave the GoFundMe up top and I hope that maybe sometime someone clicks on it. That's cool. They do. If they do, if they don't, they don't. But this is a GoFundMe themed stream. We're going to talk about some things, okay? So there's this guy out there. You may have heard of him. I haven't. I don't know what his deal is. I actually, truth be told, I don't know if it's a him or a her, but there's somebody out there on Twitter who allegedly pierced the veil of my top secret doxing Discord. And what they did was they found out that there's some chat logs and they could share those chat logs in violation of you know, my business practices or whatever with a bunch of people. And they did that. And man, it was devastating. Really, really brutal. I will neither confirm nor deny the validity or accuracy of the Discord messages. I don't know. They might be accurate. They might be shot or photoshopped or whatever. Who cares? It doesn't really matter because even taking them at accurate at face value, however you want to say it, there's nothing in there that is particularly alarming. There's some, let's see. I think what am I alleged to have said? I'm alleged to have, wait, what? Oh, never mind. Thought I heard a kid. That was weird. I'm alleged to have asked some people what I would think, what they would think about the GoFundMe if the lawsuit had been folded in anticipation of changes to the upcoming, or to the Texas Citizens Participation Act, TCPA. Obviously, this didn't happen. I also am alleged to have said, I don't know the legal strategy. I'm still reading the bill. Or I haven't read the bill or something like that. I don't know if you guys are aware, but I actually discussed that very option on a live stream around the same time. So I discussed that as a possibility. Lo and behold, hindsight being 2020, the changes that that were coming to the TCPA were not devastating to the TCPA. It did not effectively invalidate it. It did not neuter the legislation. It clarified some things in some timelines, and shockingly, Vic's actual counsel must have decided not to do what I thought might occur if the TCPA were being dismantled. Go figure. So, the next thing I learned from this is that my speculation about a bill that I hadn't read yet, my speculation on how that could impact the case apparently makes me Vic's attorney, which I don't know if you guys are aware, but people have told me since February, I guess, that I'm Vic's attorney. I don't... How you can dispel a thought... Well, if we knew how to dispel thoughts, Twitch wouldn't exist, let's be fair. But how you can dispel a thought that has wriggled its way into minuscule brains and taken root there is absolutely beyond me. I don't know how to do it. I've represented to the public that I'm not Vic's attorney. Vic's actual attorney has represented to the public that I am not involved in the legal planning of this case or in any legal strategy of the case. I'm not acting in a legal capacity with the team or with Vic or anything like that. Just a guy in Minnesota who opened up a GoFundMe and occasionally has that lawyer on my show. I don't know what else to say about it. But to give legal advice, I'd have to actually give the legal advice. Like that would be giving the legal advice. Like to practice law, you have to actually do it. So I don't know how to talk about that. But I guess for the record, I'm not Vic's attorney. I don't give Vic legal advice. If Vic were to ask me a legal question, here's exactly how I would answer, okay? This is alarming. You probably need to discuss that with Ty. Because I can't tell you what to do. I'm not your lawyer. That's how I would answer that question to Vic. If he asked me about legal things, I would say, yeah, buddy, I'm not your attorney. You'd probably need to discuss that with Ty, who is your attorney. Full stop. Full stop. So, I guess I don't know how many times I can say it. Your weird fan fictions don't make reality. Your odd leaps of logic are odd leaps of logic. And that's fine. You're allowed to be incorrect. You're allowed to be a weirdo on the internet. You're allowed to cry during your debates. You're allowed to do all of those things. You can do that. But it will not make you correct. I'm sorry. Just like the GoFundMe, that money doesn't ever come to me, and it's never had the ability to do so. No matter how many rando sped lawyers on Twitter want to pretend that there's some way I could have touched this money, there isn't. It was not possible. See, here's what happens, and I can't believe I have to go through this rudimentary step again. When you set up a GoFundMe, okay, they don't bring a guy on a bike and hand you cash that gets donated to it, okay? You have to set up a bank account. So if you were to say, start a GoFundMe and all over it say that it's for someone else, and then put your bank account information in there, GoFundMe goes, whoa, that's weird. Right? They go, whoa, okay. Why would this bank information be in here? In fact, with this campaign, it didn't even get to the point where I had entered bank account information, because obviously I'm not going to put my own in. Not going to put my own bank account in because it's not my money. GoFundMe immediately locked the withdrawals on their system because this is a third-party campaign. You dolts. GoFundMe doesn't want to be complicit in wire fraud. So they don't just allow people to easily do this. I mean, sure, people can lie to GoFundMe, they can make all sorts of misrepresentations, and they may be able to take something from them. But I think, just spitballing here, after almost 8 months, we can figure out that GoFundMe has done plenty of due diligence on $250,000. Actually, it's probably closer to $275,000 after they refunded a bunch of donations, but $250,000 running through their payment processor, right? I think we can infer that they've done due diligence on this at this point. But just for the one in back, with the eyes looking both ways and drooling, okay? I have never, ever, ever had access to a single penny from the GoFundMe. I've said it over and over and over, and you can choose not to believe me, just like you can choose to believe the earth is donut shaped. I don't know what weird theory you have, and you can have all the weird theories you want. But again, it won't ever, ever, ever make you correct. So, for the 50th time, yes, I want to maximize the GoFundMe. No, I don't have access to the money. Now for the next part. Are you ready? No, I don't get money from Ty or Vic or anybody except you fine people. That's it. That's the magic. Ty doesn't pay me. Vic doesn't pay me. The GoFundMe doesn't get routed through a Serbian shell account and put back into my bank. I don't get a cut. I don't get a percentage. There's no money changing hands between any party to this lawsuit and me, except for Jay Sean Lemoyne. Jay Sean Lemoyne, he pays me to do all of this because he's corrupt and a criminal and all of that stuff. Obviously, that's what's really going on. Big expose, go run with that or whatever. Nobody pays me except for YouTube. Like, well, you guys through YouTube and Streamlabs, and I wouldn't want to ignore the good people at Patreon or New Project 2, anywhere that funds come in. But that's it. That's it. I don't get a single. You guys can't see. I'm pointing at the dollar sign there. I don't get any percentage of that GoFundMe. Its success is entirely a giant middle finger to all of the people who don't like Vic, me, to this cancel culture. It's a giant middle finger. That's it. That is entirely my motivation for promoting the GoFundMe over and over and over again. It's just a big old flip off. That's it. And that is satisfying. Wholly satisfying. And again, you can be a moron on the internet. Lord knows you've been doing well so far. But it'll never make you correct in your thought that I somehow get anything. To the next point. Ty Beard is not in control of any of my finances. Let's just, again, throw that theory straight out. Ty Beard doesn't control my finances in any capacity, anywhere, at all. That's it. Again, there you go. There's your theories. Out of the water, blowing them out of the water constantly, just with very simple statements. And the problem that you have I'm gonna let this seep into your very, very thick skulls for a minute. The problem that you have is that you are assuming that I must be lying, because if I'm not lying, that messes with your worldview. It dramatically ruins your worldview to think that some guy who is drunker than you, dumber than you, handsomer than you, all of these things, some guy in Minnesota, in the middle of nowhere, with a small YouTube channel, was able to capture very easily the attention of a whole lot of people who said, wait a minute, I don't buy this. I don't believe that this guy did what they said until you show me something, until you show me anything. And when the stuff they started showing started being a picture of a hug at a convention in a line of 100 people, or a story about a jelly bean in front of hundreds of people, or the fact that that someone might have asked someone out on a date or to have sex with them or asked for a kiss, something like that. When every time what was shown was rather mild, normative, maybe a bit goofy or dorky behavior, but on the whole, completely unoffensive. No matter how loud you yelled, no matter how hard you shrieked, rape, molestation, all of these things, everybody went, nah, fam, I need something. I need something about that. And there's nothing you can do to change the fact that just some dummy up in the middle of Minnesota was able to do better at delivering the message than you. You will never be able to erase that failure from your life. Ever. And I know that messes with your worldview. And that failure compels you to think, well, he must be lying. He must be using hypnosis. He must be sacrificing kittens to Molech or something. Something has to be going on other than the fact that a bunch of people in the world don't agree with me. Because if people don't agree with me, then I might be wrong. And if I'm wrong, let me stop you there. You are. You are. You're just a rando dummy. Everybody is in the same boat. And we all get to look at stuff and make our opinions. And a whole bunch goes into those opinions. Like our lived experiences goes into those opinions. Our trust in others goes into those opinions. Our assessments or experiences with individuals involved in this situation goes into those opinions. A whole bunch of stuff. And you get to make those opinions. But so does everybody else. And I know it's so hard for you to understand that people would disagree with you because you're very brilliant. You really are. Your mom told you were brilliant. Your teachers told you were brilliant. Your law school you got accepted to told you were brilliant. You were so proud to get in there. And then your classmates might congratulate you and you made a good argument. Yeah, you really want to impress those guys because they're brilliant too. Because if they're not brilliant, and this is the scary thing for you, right? If the people around you in your peer groups aren't brilliant, maybe you aren't either. Maybe you're just a normal human. That would be a shame. But welcome to being normal. You've been here the whole time. Well, I shouldn't say normal. Trust me. Some of y'all are sub-average. But just welcome to it. We're all just people making up our minds on stuff. And sometimes, the person across from you that you disagree with vehemently is telling the truth. You should try it. It would be helpful for you. So there you go. Have fun with that one. I don't know, man. What is this? I got like... My son won a keychain. Look at this like little like Cthulhu keychain. It broke. I had to fix it. I don't get what this... What is this thing? Got tentacles and like flary eyes. Weird. Weird. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm not going to spend the whole show talking about this. I'm really not. I don't know how long the stream's going to go today. We're going to get talking a little bit into... we're going to start talking a little bit about this impeachment stuff. Have you guys heard about the impeachment stuff? We're gonna talk about impeachment because I see a lot of very definitive things being said about impeachment, and impeachment of a president really hasn't been done very often. And so the rules aren't this, like, it's not like this robust set of law. So this is a cool thing about law, right? We have tens to hundreds of thousands of cases per district every year. And through that, we get all of these types of lawsuits get kind of categorized, and things get codified, and we learn how to do them. There's a pattern and a rhythm to them, and judges and attorneys and clients all kind of get into this ability to have some predictability based on how this has gone before. Excuse me. Impeachment has only happened a couple times. So we're left with very little resource. We have a lot of ideas about what we might want impeachment to be in a given moment. And then we have very little guidance on what they actually are. So the impeachment of Trump, potential impeachment of Trump, and I'm going to get back to the other subject in a second, but I'm priming the pump for a little bit later in the show. The potential impeachment of Trump presents this unique opportunity for us to see the arguments about the bounds and restrictions of a really unexplored area of law. And both sides are going to try and make the law into their own thing. And the judges are going to agree with one or the other on various parts. This will be pretty amazing to see that happen. If we do, no matter if you like Trump, hate Trump, it doesn't matter. For the purpose of this discussion, it'll be really interesting to see these two governing bodies, the legislature and the executive branches, clash and argue about what rights they have over the other. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit, and I'm going to demonstrate what I'm talking about with an article I was reading earlier today. And then as we go on, I'm probably going to do some short videos, maybe like actually well-produced videos, which sounds really weird, about impeachments or almost impeachments or lawsuits that came close to causing an impeachment, like US v. Nixon. Nixon obviously was not impeached because he resigned right before the impeachment proceedings were formalized, but he was going to be. It's because of US v. Nixon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some impeachments throughout history and try to put together some short, informative videos about them. But they're going to be fairly short. Like, we're not going to do huge things, and then we may, on some live streams, if we have time, read through some of the cases that are involved, because they're kind of interesting. So that's kind of a preview of things to come. But let's go back. I want to get to the super chats that came in. Again, thanks for indulging me for the opening half hour as I delivered my little soliloquy, and then well, it was two separate soliloquies, but related, separate but equal soliloquies. Guys, my life is so strange these days. You know, Lady Rackets asked me, she said, "What's your show on tonight?" I said, yeah, some guy is claiming that some things that he's claiming I said mean that I'm Vic's lawyer and I'm stealing the GoFundMe. And she went, "That's weird." Yeah. Correct. So my life is very strange, dealing with this stuff on a daily basis. Let me get one question right out of the way, because I know I'm going to get asked it about 100 times, even if I say it now. But I'm gonna get it out of the way right now. No, I do not know if Vic is appealing or not. I do not know if Vic is appealing or not. Remains to be seen. As soon as I know, you guys are gonna know. Like, I think that'll probably be because. Hold on, let me get back into character. I'll have an obligation, a moral duty, to tell you if he's going to appeal. Because if he appeals, I want to make sure that people know. Because I'm trying to maximize the giving to the GoFundMe. And I think that's a crucial piece of information for people to have. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So there you go. If he's going to appeal, I think people who are donating to the GoFundMe might want to know that. Because that might determine if they say, hey, if he's got a longer fight, I want to give more money. Or they might want to say, hey, I wish he wouldn't do this. I'm not going to give any more money. I want people to make that decision. And so I think that information is important. So I will tell you as soon as I know. I just don't know yet. I may not know until papers are filed. Hopefully, I will know beforehand if that's going to happen so I can let people know. But we'll see, right? That said, let's start reading some of these super chats. And I'm going to talk more about Vic before we get into the Trump impeachment stuff. So don't worry, there's more of that content coming after I get through the $20 super chats here. Octorian says, Nick apologized for the Big Bang. Imagine how quiet it would be if that hadn't happened. Look, yeah, it's loud. I think it's still echoing. Tucker says, what a twist. Seriously, though, you're pro-Vic. The judge is pro-defendants. It all evens out in the end, I guess. That's a joke to the really smart people in the back of the short bus. Tucker says, how dare you? How dare you? That's true. How dare I? How dare I? Bryce Byerly says, I trusted you only to find out you were pro-Vic. We will be in touch. No, that's harassment. That's harassment. Oh, we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about that whole thing in just a second. All right? Because there's something I think that matters a little bit about that whole. We're going to talk about the unauthorized practice of law in a state where you're not licensed. We're going to talk about that one. And we're going to talk about that whole we will be in touch is harassment. Okay? Those two things are going to get talked about here. Because I want everybody to remember how consistent the other side of this equation has been. They've been alarmingly and shockingly consistent throughout this entire endeavor. And I want to remind people of that. So we're going to get back to that too. Mega Emulator Man says, hey, Nick, I wish I could have gone to HawaiiCon. Me too. Wasn't able to because I wasn't able to save up fast enough. Hoping Vic goes back next year. Me too. And I'm hoping I go back next year. Oh, I have to clear something up on that too. I'll definitely save up and go if he does. I hope to get to see you there as well. Me too. Hashtag me too. I misstated something the other day and I was corrected on it. And I want to be very clear. I said that I would have one of the owners of HawaiiCon on my show. That's actually not true. And it's not true because I misunderstood the role and relationship of the people I was going to have on the show. I am told that HawaiiCon is owned by a board, and I misunderstood or misinterpreted that. I thought that there was a specific owner, and that's entirely just on me dealing mostly with for-profit conventions and not knowing the ins and outs of HawaiiCon's particular ownership and management structure. So the people I would like to have on my show, are either board members or committee members. I'm not entirely sure. But what we'll do is when I have them on the show, hopefully they can clarify their role and maybe help explain to you guys as kind of part of the educational process how HawaiiCon is structured, how it differs or is similar to other conventions. Because there are big conventions, there are expo conventions, there are fan-run conventions, there are for-profit, non-profit. There's all sorts of, it's a wide spectrum of business autism, and all of these things fall somewhere on it. So I did not mean to misrepresent that in any way. It was simply my misunderstanding. So my apologies for that. But hopefully when I have them on, they can clarify. All right, Red Philosophy. Red Philosophy says, Nick, you did your apology video wrong. You need to start the video, look like you have jizz in your eyes, and begin with a long sigh and go, hey guys, and look like you're astral projecting. Okay. Morty J says, for only $5, you too can grift this boomer, Nick Rekieta. That's true. All it takes to get into my super top secret doc scored is $5. $5 a month on Patreon or New Project 2. And then there are secret ultra docs rooms at the $20 level. So if you're interested in that, that's there. I'm bad at shilling it. The Discord bothers me all the time, saying you need to be better at shilling this Discord. But you got to talk to them about it. They seem to like it, so they're better advertisement than I am. All right, the Texan 83 says, hey Nick, have you seen the stuff about the Dobre brothers not giving hugs or being enthusiastic about their up to $600 meet and greets and people trashing them for it? Make up your minds. Hugs equals rape, no hug equals a-holes. Yeah, that's the thing, right? A lot of people wrongfully and hatefully assume that if you spend like an hour in line and hundreds of dollars on someone, that they would want to hug you and say, you know, thank you, or they appreciate you, they want to show that affection. That'd be wrong. That's rape. Don't do it. Drax says, admit it, Nick. We know the truth. You're secretly Victor Von Doom, and you're recording from your castle in Latveria, where you experiment on hopeless thoughts to expand your insidious empire. Don't drink the Mountain Dew, kids. Definitely don't. War God 739 says, when do you think you'll be apologizing for Lemoyne's reference to the Bataan Death March, as well as the Death March itself? Listen, I have apologized for the Bataan Death March on more occasions than I care to imagine. The Dark Knight says, New York City has passed a law on calling people illegal aliens, and the fine is $250,000. Sounds like a free speech case to me. How are they able to pass a law that breaks First Amendment, violates the Constitution? They can pass any law they want. Whether they can enforce the law will be a different question altogether. What are your thoughts on this? I am not a fan of speech crime. Like the concept that speech is criminal needs to be extremely, extremely limited. Also, go Vic. Hey, good job, buddy. Thanks. Woodman Gaming says, hey, Nick, we doing whiskey or not? Yes. 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 I will email you after this show, and we will figure something out. I definitely want to do whiskey with you. RZQDW says, quote, I don't know if Vic is appealing. I think we all know that Vic is very appealing. Wink face. Hey, thanks, buddy. Thank you. Trouble Lord says, if Funimation fully merged with Sony's Aniplex, what would happen with repeal and case against Funimation? If they disappeared into Aniplex, keep up the good work. Look, if Sony fully absorbs Funimation, then, you know, they absorb the liabilities as well. Those don't get separated out. If Funimation's role would be would go to whatever branch of Sony was whatever legal entity of Sony was owning that, if they would. For now, they are still Funimation, and we'll see. I've heard some interesting things about Funimation, and I'm just, you know, always looking to verify them before we really get into laughing. But if what I've heard is true, there's going to be a lot of laughter in the future. So, Pyretta Riddle says, have incoming emojis coming in. Be right back. Hopefully I don't vomit too much. Also, con sluts rise up. Alice Stores Knight says, Nick, have you heard the song Special by Shinedown? You talking about people needing to check their worldview made me think of that song. Really surprised me to hear a song like that in the modern day. If not, you should. I've not heard it. I will go listen to it. DCV Titan says, how dare you say Vic isn't appealing? He is a damn sexy man. 9 out of 10 cons. Let's agree that Vic is hot. Maybe not doable, but hot. It'd be 10 out of 10, but remote-shaped bruises were involved. Come on. Lost Bullet says, hey, Nick, finally caught you. Gotta go, need to defeat the blackface prime minister. No relation to the blackface lawyer. Hey, Lost, you keep up the good fight, buddy. In America's blanket up there. Really appreciate you, man. Characters Holding says, any antidote for mainstream liars figuring out what alt-right means? Hundo to Vic and Jack Daniels tonight. Hey, thanks, buddy. Get some Jack Daniels. Gadamlu says, Nick, your crocodile tears make me want to suck start the pneumatic stapler I'm using at work tonight. Please stop. Oh, thanks. And a follow-up from Lost Bullet says, another $10 because Canadian money is worthless. Well, thank you for rounding that one out for me. Okay. Let me talk about, this is something I've talked about a little bit before. We're gonna talk about it again. Holy cats. We're up to 252, 251. So thank you guys for pouring in those donations. Again, I am now openly grifting for the GoFundMe in full view. Never before have I done it. Never before have I said, hey, give to the GoFundMe. That'd be great. But thank you so much for giving to the GoFundMe. Let me put out a special plea. Again, something I've never done, but will you please consider just sharing the GoFundMe? If you don't want to donate, if you can't donate, if you don't want to, please consider just sharing the GoFundMe. That would be great. I'd really appreciate that. We have almost 11,000 shares of the GoFundMe, and those shares actually do bring in tangible results. So if you think, I've got a lot of people who email me and say, hey, I don't really have any money to give to the GoFundMe. Can I do this or that? I want to do this nice thing. I want to get people involved and motivated. Listen, just share it. Share it with your personal story. Share it with your personal opinion. Share it with, I met Vic and he's a great guy. He was nice to me at a con. He remembered my name. I emailed Vic. He emailed me back. He's so nice. Or I've never met Vic, but the people who are accusing him of this stuff are horrific monsters. And this stuff has to stop. If that's your take, I've met so many people that they'd never heard of Vic before this. But they go, we can't let people's lives be ruined by some weirdos on Twitter. So, whatever it is, if you can't afford to donate, don't ever feel like you need to do something special, like you need to try and provide something. The best thing you can do, really, just share it. Share it with your personal story to your personal circle. And if anybody else donates, I mean, every dollar is awesome. So thank you. Thank you. Let's read a couple of these justice chats. I forgot I got justice chats too. Pie Baker says, mad cuck figget once on, check your diabetes. And then he also says, if a hypothetical felon gets cucked by a cuck, what does that make her? Cuck squared. Ooh, that's a good question. Janelle says, finally got a liquor cabinet out of jealousy after seeing your stupid barrel. Looking for future recommendations on bourbon, brandy, scotch, vodka. Currently have decanters filled with Maker's Mark, Christian Brothers, Dimple Pinch, New Amsterdam Apple. Okay. Vodka, get yourself some Tito's. Look, I'm going to say it. Tito's is a good vodka. It just is. It's always smooth. Not super expensive. Goes down well. Bourbon. Basil Hayden's. You can like Maker's Mark all day. I'm not going to judge you for it. Get yourself some Basil Hayden's as your next bottle. And see, Maker's Mark's got a little bit of the sweetness to it. Basil Hayden's a little bit little bit on the cutting side, but good, and not a super expensive bottle. So it's a nice one. If you really want a nice bottle of bourbon, get yourself a Michter's. It's like a 10-year Distiller's Edition something. They're like $120 if you can find them. That's a really nice bourbon. I love it. But Basil Hayden's is another good one. Scotch. You've got Dimple Pinch. I've never had Dimple Pinch, but with Scotch, my go-to is Lagavulin 16-year. But if you want something a little bit more mellow than that, Balmore 15 Darkest. As for brandy, she's a fine girl, but I couldn't tell you. Couldn't give you a recommendation in good faith. Felipe Mouve says, new month, Nick. I just donated to the GoFundMe. Hey, thanks, buddy. F kick Vic. We will never yield to their stupidity. Hope Vic will appeal. Love ya. Hey, me too, buddy. Love you back, and I hope Vic will appeal as well. All right. Let's see. Okay, so I was going to talk about Vic real quick in the next year. I know I've been talking about Vic, but this is a little bit different discussion. Next year. So here we go, guys. I have openly and consistently stated, I think the lawsuit, first of all, I think he's got a good case. I really don't care what anybody says. If his case gets thrown out by TCPA, I look at this and go, if this isn't defamation, then what is? Right? Like at some point, we have to stop and look and say, okay, none of the things that are alleged to be true have come out. Not a single one of them. So if this isn't defamation, what is? So I still think on appeal he's got a good chance. I think the judge's opinion is not worth the paper it's not even yet printed on. There's a lot missing from that opinion that'll make the appeals process just a wonderful haggard mess. And I think it's very likely that some of those charges, if not all of them, come back on appeal. I do. So that being said, I've stated for, I think as far back as I can remember, that while I believe the legal case is important, I believe that getting Vic to conventions, getting Vic showing up, interacting with fans, selling tickets, selling autographs, I think that's the most important part of this puzzle. I think that's what ultimately defeats the narrative. I think the lawsuit is, again, integral. I think it's important that he maintains that all of this is false, as he has the entire time. I think all of these things are true. But how does that happen? How does that happen? Well, it happens in a couple ways. And one of those ways is simply talking about Vic to your conventions, trying to find places that'll hire him, that'll bring him out. He puts feet in line, right? He puts feet in lines where there aren't lines. He does well at every convention he goes to. Still, people want to see him. You're going to sell tickets. So, but it's up to people to reach out to those conventions, ask them to invite him. That's one thing you know. If you know booking agents who are looking to book solo things, it'd be very interesting for them to reach out with a viable solo event in a place where there's a large enough gathering of population that people could come and see Vic at a place where they might not have gotten to see him this year. There are plenty of. There's a nice list of conventions that people didn't get to go to see Vic, right? And many of those conventions, a lot of people would want to see Vic, and if he was there, would have bought tickets. So, if you know people like that, you can send it to me, I guess, but I'm not his booking agent or anything like that. But I can direct you where to go, I guess, on that. But the biggest thing you can do is you tell the conventions out there that you want to see him. That's it. And eventually they're going to look at it and they're going to say, I'd like to sell 300, 500 more tickets. think it was New York. New York, they had something like 50 people show up with Liberty City Con tickets, and then over 300 people show up that didn't have those tickets. That's 300 tickets that Liberty City could have sold. So eventually cons are going to look at it and say, yeah, I actually would like to sell it. There's a lot of cons out there, and a lot of them would love to have a guest that brings people in. So just ask your local conventions. If you're putting on conventions, if you're a convention runner or on some sort of board or committee about who to bring, consider Vic. I'm going to be talking about this as we go on. But I believe that getting Vic to conventions and to events to interact with people is the biggest antidote to this nonsense. It's a middle finger almost as big, if not just as big, as the GoFundMe. Right? Oh, and by the way, every event Vic has attended, all of them, have been successful, profitable for both Vic and the venue, and most importantly, none of the drama. All of the online drama doesn't exist at the places he goes. No one has shown up and tried to embarrass him during a panel. It's happened to other people, right? That's happened to other people. Hasn't happened to Vic. Oh, and the cool thing is, if you have Vic and one of the people who, disagrees with him or whatever, you can have them both at the same convention. They don't have to sit next to each other. They don't have to hug or bang or anything like that. They can actually just both coexist in the same general space. And it wouldn't even be that hard. And guess what? The other person's going to live through that experience too. They will. You can invite both. It's amazing how it works. And I have never, ever suggested that cons shouldn't invite someone who's opposed to Vic. Never. But you could invite both of them. See which one shows up. See which one people show up for. Make money. Do it. But I will be talking a little bit more about that now that it's out. Now that it's out, that I am pro-Vic, I'll be more pro-Vic. How's that? And I hope personally to leverage some connections that I've made this year, talking to people that I've met, using those relationships to get them to talk to people that they know. And I hope to help Vic get into conventions over the next year. You know why? Am I getting paid for it? Nah, not a dime. I will do it just because it will make somebody mad. That's it. I love making people angry. It never gets unfunny to me. So I will act as an advocate in the booking space. I couldn't be an agent, right? We don't have any special relationship or a contract or anything like that would give me authority. What I will do is every single con I get to go to, when I meet con runners, con chairs, when I meet board members of cons, when I meet high-profile guests of cons that know other people, I say, hey, you know what? Why don't you think about bringing Vic? And guess what? Those personal interactions, those personal relationships that you build are worth more than people on Twitter. They are. So, we'll see how it goes, but that's what I'm going to do openly. And for no money, for no compensation, with no agreement. I haven't even run this by Vic. He has nothing to do with it. I'm going to try and get him to shows for no reason other than to laugh at the people who will be mad when he shows up. So, there you go. So, you'll be hearing more about that as time goes on, I suppose. But I hope there's some big announcements for him for next year. So there's that. Let's talk briefly let's talk briefly about this idea of the unauthorized practice of law. Okay? Because this is one of the things that I've been recently accused of. Again, and again, and again. Okay. To engage in the unauthorized practice of law, there's some things that have to occur. Typically, you need to hold yourself out as a lawyer with the ability to practice in the jurisdiction where you don't have the ability to practice. Right? So you have to basically lead people to think that you can give them legal advice in that jurisdiction. That's what you have to kind of try to do. It's like a weasel your way into giving them legal advice. There's an easy way to defeat this. I'm not your lawyer. Not your lawyer. I'm not your lawyer. You should talk to a lawyer in that jurisdiction. Listen, buddy, I can't tell you what to do in that jurisdiction. I know it will work up here. You should really talk to a lawyer in your jurisdiction. Those things tend to defeat the idea of an unauthorized practice of law. Now, do lawyers give legal advice outside of their jurisdiction? Yeah, it happens a lot. Happens a lot. I try not to do that. I tend to be very clear because I'm on YouTube, because people can find me from all over the country with their walk-by bow and compound bow and serrated edges or whatever. They can find me all over the country. So what I try to do is be pretty clear to people. I'm not your lawyer. I can't be your lawyer. I can try and refer you to someone in your jurisdiction. Okay? But do lawyers give advice outside of their jurisdiction? Yes, they do. There's a great example of a person with neck fat out there giving legal advice outside of their jurisdiction to a Nazi armed ski jump slope chested ugly hag. I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about. But there was a little bit of a controversy a while back in which someone with Nazi arms decided to and also a serial accuser of rape. Those two thoughts decided to come out and openly state that a penis head shaped lawyer from North Carolina had given them legal advice about letters that they received. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the two thoughts in question are not in North Carolina. Not at all. Not a wink. Not even close. Well, one of them has reach into North Carolina, physical reach into North Carolina, but neither of them are actually there. So I'm not actually accusing this person of the unauthorized practice of law in another state. But I just think that Captain Neckfold there might want to consider how stupid it is to suggest that someone else is practicing law in a different state when they've openly stated they're not giving legal advice to anybody in that state, where you have actually given legal advice confirmed by the advisees outside of your jurisdiction. I mean, you might want to maybe think about that. And again, I don't think you're actually giving them legal advice, but you certainly have given them more legal advice than I've given anybody. And that's embarrassing because you're inconsistent, you're stupid, and you abandon your child, you weirdo. Okay, that said, there was a chat from Araman. Hey, what's up, Erica? Araman. Is it possible to appeal since it was dismissed with prejudice? Absolutely. Dismissal with prejudice just means that you can't raise a fresh lawsuit with the same facts and same cause of action. Okay? So for the things they sued, and not for the cause of action, but for the specific facts, transactions, instances that they sued, they cannot sue again after dismissal with prejudice, right? So if someone runs into your car and you break your arm and you sue them for personal injury, and they said your arm was already broken before the car accident, dismissed with prejudice, you can't sue that person again for breaking your arm unless they run into you again and break your other arm. Then you could sue them for breaking your arm. That's a new set of facts or a new transaction. A new nexus or confluence of events has occurred that would give rise to a cause of action, okay? But you can't sue them twice for the same car accident. That has nothing to do with an appeal. An appeal is a time-limited request for a different court to review the facts, a higher court, to review the facts, review the record, and then apply a particular standard of review to that assessment and determine if a mistake was made or if a misunderstanding of law or misapplication of law was made, and then to either overrule it or remand it back to the court with instructions to rule on it properly the next time. That's an appeal. So dismissal with prejudice means literally nothing as far as appeals are concerned. Most things that are appealed are dismissed with prejudice, because a dismissal without prejudice would just allow you to refile the suit. You wouldn't have to appeal it at all. You just refile the suit. Now, yeah, because if it was, I was going to say if it was like outside the statute of limitations or something like that, you could, but if it was outside the statute of limitations, that'd be a dismissal with prejudice. So a dismissal without prejudice would allow you to simply refile the suit. The dismissal with prejudice typically is a predicate event for most appeals. What is this? So anyway, that's that. But that's a very good question, because I know that's been going around, Airman, and that is something that a lot of people have been said. I'm told that Animat has been saying that. I've heard of Animat. I don't know who this guy actually is or anything. He's another YouTuber or something. I don't know. I'm not familiar with his content. I don't know his legal credentials. But if he is suggesting that a dismissal with prejudice means that Vic cannot appeal, that is obscenely and grossly incorrect. And I have to only imagine that Law Twitter gave him that advice, because I don't know where else it would come from. Okay. Next, Nixx says, my former worship leader fell face down off his scooter in downtown LA. He has been active on social media but requires facial reconstruction surgery. Please share his GoFundMe. Josh Martinez's surgery fundraiser. So there you go. That is a raw deal. You never want to fall off your scooter. Certainly not in downtown LA. Hopefully he wasn't robbed. That's a joke. That was mean to LA. But yeah, so if you want to check that out, Josh Martinez's surgery fundraiser, you can check it out. Also, that's a good idea to stay off of scooters. Never take a scooter, guys. Always take a private helicopter everywhere you go. That's legal advice right there. We're going to do some military. No, we're not going to do military special. We're going to do Texas Republic whiskey. He said that Vic can never sue Funimation for any reason ever, no matter what they do in the future. Okay. Solid legal analysis from Animat. You know, theory crafting here. Vic potentially has a breach of contract claim with Funimation right now. That's not a part of this lawsuit. Even if everything were dismissed, in theory, I don't know the cause of action. I'm familiar with the generic Funimation contract. I'm not familiar with Vic's Funimation contract or anything like that. So I couldn't tell you specifically, although based on the generic Funimation contract and what I've seen from the Discovery stuff and what I've shared on the stream, as far as the nature of how Vic was terminated, there may actually be a breach of contract cause of action. He could sue them for that right now during the existing lawsuit. So Animat is 100% not correct about that. Okay, so now going back to that whole unauthorized practice of law thing. Here's another thing. So, okay, so just so we're clear, it was Doucette giving legal advice to Mars Girl and Jesse Pridemore, right? Like, that was a thing that occurred. He did those things. I don't necessarily think he acted outside of his professional obligations or anything like that. I don't think that he engaged in the unauthorized practice of law. But what he's accusing me of, he has actually done. This is the consistency. Let's talk about more consistency. Do we remember when Ron Toye, universal remote wielding, wife abusing Ron Toye, dog threatening, judge threatening Ron Toye? By the way, is anybody confused, or have they forgotten that this man threatened to murder his wife's dogs, his now ex-wife, but he threatened to murder her dogs if she hung up the phone on him, or was it not picking him up because he didn't have his car or something like that? Threatened to murder her dogs for that. Now, he also issued a threat, not a threat. I shouldn't say he threatened the judge, because he didn't. He didn't convey that communication to the judge, and he probably had no intention that it would be conveyed to the judge. But he suggested that a judge's children better watch out, right, if the judge ruled against him. Now, again, I'm not going to call that a threat. Threats have to be very specific, and they have to have an intent to be conveyed to the party so that they're threatened. But I will call it stupid, all right? But did we forget that's who Ron Toye is? I haven't forgotten. Pepperidge Farms remembers. But that being said, remember tough guy Ron Toye. Very tough. Threatening all these people. Ty Beard tweets to Ron Toye, "We will be in touch." And he goes off the deep end about harassment. His lawyers talk about harassment. Everybody's talking about the harassment of Ron Toye from a tweet that says, "We will be in touch." The harassment, the intimidation, the threat of "we will be in touch." Yeah. I don't know if you guys notice, but there is a mentally handicapped lawyer out there right now who tweets about me an alarming amount. I'm not even on Twitter. I've been yeeted right off of Twitter. And this weirdo, obsessive, kind of gross monster, hideous swamp beast, tweets about me all the time. Now, it's interesting because there's all sorts of threats rolled into those tweets. And all of those threats kind of look like... Now, he calls me a witness. In fact, there's an existing notice of intent to notice to subpoena, right? There's an existing that out there, whatever that actually is. So I'm, in his book, a witness. And he consistently threatens me on Twitter, openly. Much more than "we will be in touch." Talks about deposing me all the time. I don't know why he wants to put me in a room where he gets to enact his fantasies, and he thinks I have to comply, I guess. Talks about going after my personal finances. Talks about things that I say. It's almost like there's an attorney in Texas openly engaging in witness intimidation with the intent to make me be quiet. I certainly could see that. But again, that's the consistency, right? Because all of these orbiters are out there giving that shake, right? The, what is it? The Ali shake to his underpants or whatever. all very, very happy to fluff off Jay Sean Lemoyne. But what he's doing has been classified by him. Well, was it him or was it Casey Eric? Poor Casey Eric. By his clients, by their few supporters, as witness intimidation, as harassment. He does it constantly. Constantly. And I suppose if he deposes me, or attempts to depose me, or tries to bring me into this lawsuit, I'll have to bring up to the judge that, first of all, I have a First Amendment right to talk about this case. I do, absolutely. And idiotic legal theories that are based on not fact doesn't subvert my right to discuss this case that I am not a lawyer in and have no ethical obligation to. None of that can stop me from talking. But you've got a weird, disgusting, disease-soaked lawyer trying to stop me from talking almost daily. Huh. I guess I'll be researching to brief my own deposition defense with a, because you can't bring depositions for the purpose of harassment. Jay Sean, you know that, right? You can't bring a deposition with the purpose to annoy or harass someone. You have to have a legitimate purpose. And there's an interesting amount of material on your own nasty Twitter. Might be useful in an anti-slap motion of my own. But I guess we'll see. But this is the consistency that I'm talking about with these people. They have none. They have no consistency. They have no principle. They don't care about the facts of the situation. They like to misrepresent things. And then their best tactic is they accuse everybody else of that. But, there you go. Here's the thing. I'm not sure if it's harassment. I'm going to definitely argue it is. I legitimately, let's be very clear. I legitimately believe that Jay Sean is attempting to intimidate and harass me. Absolutely. Absolutely. Someone he has identified personally as a witness in this case. He communicates about and to publicly with frequency with the intent to prevent me from speaking. That much is 100% true. Whether or not Texas will determine that to be witness tampering or witness intimidation, I guess we'll have to see. But I know who's not legal counsel in this case. I know who is legal counsel in this case. That's Lemoyne. And I know who is engaged in the practice of attacking said witness. That would be Lemoyne. So, I sure hope that he's considering that. Also, if anybody out there wants to send me archives of those tweets, they will not be unwelcome, friend. Mama Bear, while you have the whiskey out, could you toast my wonderful mother who we lost this past weekend? Of course. Of course. Hold on. Hold on. Mama Bear. That's Texas Republic whiskey. Okay? That's Texas Republic whiskey. This is Iliac. This is from Scotland. You cannot buy this in the US to my knowledge. This was brought to me from Scotland by a wonderful, wonderful person who I'm very fond of. So this is precious and limited is what I mean. Okay? So for you, Mama Bear. To your mother. May she rest in peace. Blessings upon her, you, and your family. All right. All right. Okay. That said, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I have a feeling that these morons are hell-bent on trying to prove that I did something that I've never done, trying to say that all of my public representations are not true, and trying to say, or trying to prove that somehow I accidentally did things that require intent. Will be their next thing. And that I am somehow personally liable for stuff because they just can't believe that people disagree with them. So, you know, that's that. But again, if anybody wants to send me the archives of those Lemoyne tweets, we'll go ahead and deal with that. You know. All right, are we at a I think I'm about done with that subject. Gay and still at large says, I wasn't going to donate tonight because I had no good idea, but then I remembered this authentic quote from J. Sean Lemoyne. I like how bad dragon dildos feel in my butt when I get pegged by con sluts. That's an authentic quote? That's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So, Don't do it, Jay Sean. You got to get out of that pegging life. I talked to Drexel about it. He said never get pegged. Don't do it. That's to you, Lemoyne. Don't do it. Okay. All right. So let's talk. Let me see if I can get this pulled up on here easily. Got do I have it? Yes, I do have it. All right, look at that. There's a it's interesting how the media attempts to insert ideas into people's heads, right? Because they've got a tangible link to Nixon, and the first picture talking about Trump is a picture. Tricky Dick. Not a crook. So, but let's go through this article a little bit, and let's use it for educational purposes. Now, here's the thing. I have not fully researched impeachment practices. This is not a definitive discussion of impeachment. This is a exploratory and open preliminary discussion of impeachment. All right. As long as this is building up over the next the next year, really, it's going to be through the next election. If you think the timing is coincidental, if you think they don't want to have Trump in impeachment proceedings during the campaign, they're not transparent or anything. Yeah, we're gonna start talking about this. We're gonna start talking about impeachments, how they work, because this is an area of law that we haven't really explored very heavily. And the Constitution is sparse on most things. Impeachment proceedings will be brought by the House, heard by the Senate, and presided over by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. All three non-executive entities are involved, and in that way, and that's how it goes. There's not a ton of jurisprudence about it. There's not a ton of guidance on how it goes. So we're going to use this article that I read earlier to talk about how both sides are going to try and mold the argument going forward, because I think that'll be an interesting discussion. Maybe not. Okay. So let's go through this. Justice Department asked judge to block House from getting Mueller grand jury materials. Says Watergate decision was wrong. This is bold. Watergate decision is U.S. v. Nixon. That's a Supreme Court decision. It was unanimous. I use the air quotes because Chief Justice Rehnquist recused himself because I think it was Rehnquist. He had served on the, maybe he was only justice at the time. He had served on President Nixon's administration or something like that. And so he recused himself. That might be in this article. I can't remember if it's this one or a different one, but we'll talk about that. But basically, unanimous decision. 8 Supreme Court justices said that Nixon had to turn over the tapes, unredacted, and comply with a subpoena. There are some key differences here. And it's interesting that they're focusing on them saying the Watergate decision was wrong. That's a part of their legal argument. I assume their legal argument is more robust than that, which I assume their legal argument actually looks something like the Watergate decision actually, U.S. v. Nixon, doesn't apply in this case because we have a vastly different set of facts. However, in the event that the court were to decide that the Watergate decision would apply to this extremely different and in no way related set of facts, we would argue then that that decision was wrong. It was incorrect. That was an overstep of the checks and balances system and the separation of powers between the legislature and the executive branch. I imagine that's what their argument kind of looked like. Obviously more eloquent than me. However, this is what they're focusing on. So let's take a look though. So the Justice Department lawyers used the example of Richard Nixon's impeachment inquiry to argue that the House Judiciary Committee should be denied its request to obtain information about grand jury materials assembled under Special Counsel Robert Mueller's probe of Donald Trump. Let's draw some very quick differences. This is how you start arguing these things. Richard Nixon's subpoena was a criminal subpoena under an existing action brought by a special counsel or a special investigator. So this would be like if Robert Mueller was charging someone with a crime, right? Someone who is not Donald Trump, and subpoenaing the tapes or the transcripts of the Ukraine call, because that's what they're after. They're after the transcripts of the Ukraine call, right? So this would be like if Robert Mueller was going to charge some person with a crime. Let's pick Sarah Huckabee. He's going to charge Sarah Huckabee with a crime, saying she illegally communicated with Ukraine, and that as proof of that, he was going to subpoena the transcripts and the tapes of the Ukraine call from the White House. And then that would be comparable to what happened to Nixon. Okay? The papers were not subpoenaed by the House under Nixon, or the tapes. They were subpoenaed by a special prosecutor appointed by the House after an official resolution was passed to commence impeachment an impeachment investigation. We have not had a special resolution to commence an impeachment investigation. Has not passed yet. We don't have a special prosecutor, and we don't have a criminal case in which a subpoena has been ordered. The House, I don't know what committee it is, has subpoenaed this particular thing, a House subpoena. The House is saying they have access to executive branch documents that they don't normally have access to. And they're saying they're doing so because they have an impeachment investigation. But they haven't passed a resolution that actually allows them to do a formal investigation. There isn't an existing judicial complaint in which a subpoena ducis tecum has been issued like there was in Nixon. These are very, very important differences. Does it mean that they can't do it? I don't know. Nobody knows. We can all make theories about what the answer is. But they are vastly, vastly different scenarios, and that's really important to remember, especially when we're talking about a Democrat-run legislature and a Republican executive branch. Because in an election, or well, leading up to an election year, it's going to be an election year by the time all this gets resolved, okay? The court is going to have to determine if they want to involve themselves in a highly political question. Because let's theory craft this one for a little bit. Let's say the justice or the Judiciary Committee or whatever committee is heading up the House investigation wants to investigate Donald Trump, and they decide not to impeach him, but rather just to use the transcript of the phone call as a political weapon as an entity called the Democrat Party against him in the upcoming election. They're going to take a phone call between heads of state, and if there's a long story about this, but long and short, the President of the United States is what is called the sole organ of communication with foreign relations, or sole organ of I guess it's the sole organ of foreign relations. President of the United States has almost unchecked power in dealing with foreign relations. Like the Senate has to approve a treaty, for example, right? So the Senate has to ratify any treaty. However, executive agreements, which are agreements between heads of state with the same legal authority as a treaty, can be approved without the Senate. The president can just enter into an executive agreement, which is legally binding in the same way that treaty is, without Senate approval, because he is the sole organ of foreign relations with foreign governments. That's it. So for the Congress to say, we want access to a phone call you had with another head of state, that is overstepping the separation of powers. Congress doesn't normally have access to communications between the president and a head of state. They just don't. So to try and get access to those, they're trying to use a pseudo-legal process, but they haven't gotten there yet. I imagine that this won't be, I probably won't tangent as much as we go into it, but I really need to set the stage here because this is a highly, highly complicated question that anyone who says they have the answer to this for sure is lying or is motivated. One of those two things. They're lying or they're motivated. Lawyers from the Justice Department surprised the judge, Beryl Howard, by arguing that the decision to release normally secret grand jury materials to the House in 1974 when Nixon faced impeachment was incorrect. Kind of misrepresenting this, but they clear it up later. House is currently conducting an impeachment inquiry into Trump. Are they? What is an impeachment inquiry? Is this a constitutional tool? Is this an inquiry tool that is laid out in the Constitution that would allow the House to do this? Or is this a power they have assumed? And in the assumption that they have assumed this power, are they doing so in the way they've done it in the past? We're going to take a look. We're going to take a look at this. So, Justice Department lawyers on Tuesday used the example of Richard Nixon's impeachment inquiry to argue that the House Judiciary Committee should be denied its request to obtain information about grand jury materials assembled under special counsel Robert Mueller's probe of President Donald Trump. Lawyers from the Justice Department surprised the judge, Beryl Howell, by arguing that the decision by former Chief Judge John Sirica to release normally secret grand jury materials to the House in 1974 when Nixon faced impeachment was incorrect, and that those materials should have been kept from Congress at the time, according to NBC News. And again, as lawyers for the Justice Department, which is under the executive branch, of course you make this argument, even if you think it's a stinker of an argument. Of course you make this argument. That's your job. Your job is to make the best arguments that you can make, and you have to tackle as many possible arguments as you can afford to fit into your document. So Maybe you can persuade the judge that this is incorrect. They're setting it up for another Supreme Court hearing. They're setting it up to say that the Supreme Court prior got it wrong. They have an opportunity to overturn that precedent. Will the Supreme Court take this up and take it up? Maybe. Involving the President of the United States versus the Congress. They may take it up. Will they overturn it? Less likely. If stare decisis, they have the idea that they need to abide by former rulings of the court, even though they sometimes don't. Overturning a previous decision is a big deal. And they'll have to make that decision. But you have to make the argument to help get it before the Supreme Court. Those materials were considered the roadmap that led to Nixon's expected impeachment that year. Nixon ended up resigning before he was formally impeached. Right. Wow, Howell said after hearing the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C., that the Justice Department now disagreed with Sirica's ruling. As I said, the department is taking extraordinary positions in this case. Yes, they are outside of the ordinary. But the contrapoint to that is that the proceedings in this case they're contrary to the ordinary. They're extraordinary. We don't normally have the Congress attempting to obtain a transcript of a phone call of the president for the purposes of impeaching him without appointing a special prosecutor, without even passing a resolution for an impeachment inquiry. And we don't actually know if an impeachment inquiry is in and of itself constitutional, or whether they have to draft articles of impeachment and then inquire and investigate. We don't actually know the answer to that. The Judiciary Committee is seeking the Mueller grand jury information as part of its ongoing impeachment inquiry into Trump. That information would include transcripts of testimony by witnesses to the grand jury. Douglas Letter, a lawyer for the committee, told Howell that the House of Representatives is entitled to absolute deference in impeachment inquiries, according to NBC News. Of course he is. Of course he's going to take that position. But is the House ever entitled to absolute deference against the executive? No, of course not. There is a separation of powers. There is a separation of powers. In fact, let me give you a quick example. The House tried to, a long time ago, impose something called a legislative veto, where one branch of the legislature, either the House or the Senate, under the law, could effectively veto a decision by the administration. So they delegated some authority, some lawmaking authority to the executive branch, but they wanted to retain control over it to the extent that they created a legislative veto, which would allow either a committee or just the House or just the Senate to effectively undo a decision by the administration that they had granted by law. And the Supreme Court said, no. There's a separation of powers. The veto is reserved power of the president. The legislature doesn't get to write in a veto. If they're going to delegate authority to the executive branch, they delegate the authority to the executive branch. If they don't want to do that, they shouldn't delegate the authority. Was the House entitled to absolute deference, even though constitutionally the House and the Senate are the lawmaking body of the United States? No, they weren't entitled to absolute deference. There's all sorts of to say that they have absolute deference in anything is incorrect, except for something that is directly within their plenary authority. Period. But Elizabeth Shapiro, an attorney in the DOJ's Civil Division, argued to Howell that in order to properly seek the grand jury material, the House should first vote on a resolution authorizing a formal impeachment inquiry and then seek the material through a judicial proceeding. So, shockingly, the other attorney is saying, no. They need to do this process. I would actually think that that's not strong enough of a position, because they're recognizing the validity of a formal impeachment inquiry as giving Congress the authority to subpoena documents that they wouldn't otherwise have access to. But I'm rambling now, so let's move on. Letter disputed that idea. Yes, two lawyers have disagreed. Shocking. Two lawyers on opposite sides of an issue have disagreed on the issue. We are in an impeachment inquiry, an impeachment investigation, a formal impeachment investigation, because the House says it is, Letter said. Have they voted on it? How does the House say something? These are important questions. How does the House say it's in the investigation without a resolution saying it's in the investigation? House Democrats have said they're in an inquiry. Some House Democrats. What is an impeachment? What is a formal impeachment investigation? What is formal if there's no resolution? These are outstanding arguments, and it's important to know that this is not settled law. Howell ended the hearing without making a decision on the House's request, because Howell probably has no idea what to do and knows whatever decision Howell makes will be appealed by one of the parties. Guaranteed. This will go to appeal. The impeachment inquiry kicked off 2 weeks ago after it was revealed that Trump, who had been withholding congressionally appropriated military aid from Ukraine, arguably within the president's authority to withhold foreign aid. Period. Again, the president, this is established law. The president is the sole organ of foreign relations, and therefore the president has an amazing amount of power. An amazing amount of power when it comes to actually interacting with a foreign government. Congress can appropriate aid to a foreign country, and the president very likely can withhold it and say, nah. The executive branch does not agree with what Congress has done. We're not necessarily going to veto the bill, but we're going to hold off on delivering this aid until the executive branch is satisfied with the state of foreign relations, because that is a constitutional power of the president. It's upheld by long-standing Supreme Court jurisprudence. So, again, the Congress, this very likely is within the purview and power of the president under long-standing precedent. Pressured that country's newly elected president in July to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden, a leading contender for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination. Well, that's one way to characterize it. That's for sure. A letter said the fact that the inquiry was sparked by the Ukraine issue did not mean that the House cannot examine Mueller grand jury material. Why not? Why is that? Again, these are arguments. These are not statements of fact, which is not related to Ukraine and which was produced before Trump's call with the country's president in July. So they're going to ask for grand jury materials, even though they don't have any cause to do so. And again, they want to do so without actually drafting impeachment. Why? Because if they find something embarrassing, but not necessarily rising to the gravity of an impeachment, they can simply use the materials in a politically motivated act during an election. And if that's the case, if that's what they're trying to do, that is an improper abuse of the separation of powers. But of course, that's what they're trying to do. They probably don't really want to impeach Donald Trump. Impeachment is risky. Ask the Republicans who impeached Bill Clinton. It's a risky move. Okay, before Trump released a transcript of his call with Ukraine's leader, Trump administration had blocked efforts by Congress to get information about a complaint by an intelligence community whistleblower who had raised red flags about that phone call. Some of you may be interested to find out that Mark Zaid is the whistleblower's attorney, apparently. Mark Zaid of Comicsgate fame. I'm sure he's working really hard on your boy Zach's case. He is currently fighting the White House on a very sensitive issue. Howell asked a Justice Department lawyer if grand jury materials that the department is currently withholding from Congress have been shared with foreign government officials. I don't know the answer to that, the lawyer responded. The attorney said the department would update Howell by Friday on that question. So that's a question from the judge. Lawyer doesn't know the answer. The Mueller grand jury had investigated Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election, possible coordination with Russians by members of the Trump campaign, and possible obstruction of justice in the Russia probe by Trump himself. Important to note that the Mueller grand jury refused to bring charges against Donald Trump. This is an important thing to know. Contrast that with Nixon's case. Nixon's case, The material being sought from the White House was material accusing someone else of a crime and was in an ongoing criminal suit. Okay? This was not a president who had been not charged by a grand jury after a special prosecutor who has terminated the investigation and removed himself from the position. He has ended his special prosecution. That is over. During the Nixon issue, the special prosecutor existed. Actually, the initial special prosecutor was fired by Nixon, and then a follow-up special prosecutor was appointed who took up the mantle. These are very different cases. And again, the reason I point this up is not to say that Trump is in the right and the Democrats are in the wrong. I think right now that's where I'm leaning, to be open about my biases. That's where I leave. That's where I'm leaning right now. However, what I bring this up to is to say these are massively different cases, and we're making new law here, not relying on old law. Both of the parties are trying to either draw comparisons to the existing stuff or draw distinctions between the existing stuff and the new stuff. Okay. Mueller's report on his investigation found Russia had made repeated efforts to interfere in the election, but did not find evidence. Notice how they word it. That Trump campaign's affiliates conspired with Russian agents in those efforts. They didn't find evidence of it. We want you to think that they did. That CNBC is writing this with a slant. And you can tell in how they represent the two lawyers' positions, but it's subtle. It's subtle. The report did not accuse Trump of obstruction, but also pointedly did not exonerate the president of such conduct. Is it pointedly? Letter, who is the House attorney, told Howell that what Trump knew as a presidential candidate, about WikiLeaks, the document disclosure activist group, could be highly relevant to the ongoing impeachment inquiry. Could it? During the 2016 presidential campaign, WikiLeaks released emails that had been stolen by alleged Russian agents from the Democratic National Committee and from Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta. Referring to Trump's possible knowledge about WikiLeaks activity, letters said questions for the impeachment inquiry included: did he lie? Did he fix the election? Did he obstruct justice? So there you go. That's talking all about the impeachment inquiry. Like I said, I'm probably going to do some short, polished, edited videos like a proper YouTuber about the upcoming impeachment proceedings by talking about past impeachment proceedings. Short videos that are shareable or whatever. You know, that stupid driving growth thing that I hate. I hate it. I'll go on record now. I hate doing the videos that I'm going to do. I would much rather come and talk to you guys for 3 hours. But this channel is a business. Oh, shoot. Did I forget to apologize? This channel is a business. This channel makes money on reporting on things that I think people might be interested in. And in the pursuit of doing that, I want to drive growth. I want to spread the channel around so that other people can enjoy it as well. Or hate it. Haters and enjoyers combine. You guys Wonder Twins powers activate or whatever. But we will be discussing impeachments throughout history, including Clinton's impeachment. We'll be discussing all of that in some shorter videos and maybe even in some longer live streams as well. But that's what we're going to be covering, because this is going to go on, I believe, for quite a while. We've got two highly interested parties. We've got an election year coming up, and they've been building this up since before the election, for 4 years now. So there you go. All right, guys. That's the main material we've got for tonight. What I'm going to do now, in just a moment, is I'm going to read through Super Chats. Now, if you are a person who checks out during Super Chats, I get you. I feel you. Thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out tonight. I will be on Twitch. It might take me a little bit because I'm really hungry and I kind of need a meal of some sort. So I'm going to go cook something. Should only take 10 minutes or so. I'm going to go cook something. I'll get loaded up on Twitch. I'm not sure what I'm playing tonight, but if you want to come hang out, on Twitch, come do so. Let's enjoy each other's company. Other than that, I will see you tomorrow. There will be a show tomorrow. I'm going to encourage everybody to watch the kill stream tomorrow. Ethan Ralph, kill stream. I believe it's on D Live. And I believe it's at 8:30 p.m. Central. My understanding is that a Mr. Mad Black Atheist or Mad Black Entertainment or whatever Mad Black Trollin', whatever his name du jour is, will be on the kill stream. So if you've been following the insanity of Mad Black, go check out the kill stream tomorrow. I, for one, will definitely be watching. It starts at 8:30 Central. Go check out Matt Black Jarbo, they're saying. In the he's allegedly going to be a guest on the kill stream. Ethan Ralph will be asking him the important questions. I have no idea what they're going to talk about. I assume it's going to be related to his meltdown that happened. But let's just say I will be watching. I'm very curious as to see how this goes. And that you guys should definitely check out the kill stream tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. I believe it's on D Live. Go check Ethan Ralph's Twitter if you want a link to it. More importantly, my Twitter is still suspended. Last time it took somewhere between 7-9 days, I believe, to get it back. You can follow my intern at Law Archive on Twitter if you want updates for the show. She's not really engaging in the nonsense in the way that I did. So, I don't know if it'll be as entertaining. But if you want just show updates, you can check out Intern Chan on the Twitter. Go do that at Law Archive for those show updates. Otherwise, if you want, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Gab. I don't even remember my password, but maybe it's time to dig it out and start updating on Gab. Hopefully they've updated their interface. I'm not a huge fan of how it works. Twitter seems to be a better created website, but maybe Gab has improved since the last time I used it. But you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Gab. Don't try to friend me. You could try to friend me on Facebook, but I really don't accept friend requests unless I personally know the person. So if I don't respond to you on Facebook, don't take offense to it. It's not personal. I just don't know you. But yeah, you can follow me there. I should probably transition to doing show announcements and stuff on Instagram since Twitter is being a con slut about all of this. But yeah. Get set up on Dick Masterson's Mastodon instance. I'll have to look into it. I don't understand how Mastodon works, but I'll check it out. But all right, guys. If you're going to peace out, peace out. Otherwise, let's do these super chats and justice chats, and then we'll close out the show after that. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for sitting through my heartfelt and humblest apology as well. Where are we? Okay. All right. Oh, and yes, 2 last things. If you're here, if you like this show, like the stream, please help out. That helps spread it out to more people or whatever. It spreads wider than a con slut's legs or whatever if you like the stream. I'm kidding, of course. Nothing is wider than a con slut's legs. But go ahead and like the stream. The other thing you can do is follow me on Twitch, in which I am shamelessly hoping to follow Maddox on Twitch just for the sole purpose of trolling Maddox that little bit, because I bet he watches. So there's that. So thank you for that. Freighter J says, I demand an apology. All this time I thought you were teaching us zesty local chicken recipes, and you've really been a lawyer. Scandalous. And yes, despite popular belief, I am still a practicing and licensed attorney in the state of Minnesota. So there you go. Medium titty goth girlfriend says, I share a birthday with Jamie Markey. Can I get an F in the chat, boys? Oh, F. I am so sorry. RJS says, Jim wants on. Check live journal. Steve Shitty said, how could you, Nick? I don't know. I'm so sorry. Asia Fraser says, before I call NBA a gay chimpanzee spurg, can you define simp and spurg? Insert definition here. Great. Now in your Vegeta voice. NBA is a gay chimpanzee spurg. Enchanting Tatum says, hey, Nick. Been lurking since the Vic stuff started. Love the show. Keep up the good work. And cheers tonight. I'm drinking with you. Hey, thanks, buddy. Mario Carter 13 says, I lied. My real name is Rick Rekieta. No. No. Ex Varna says, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. Tarapar says, how in Sheol did you keep a straight face during the intro? Listen. I am a local stage actor. When my wife makes me do it. Feel good always 990 says, how could you do this, Nikki? You know Hitler was biased. Think about that, Nikki. You're gonna be famous, Nikki. No. Wiggle Ninja says, I stopped watching porn for this. Oh, sweet hair, yo. Hey, thanks. I went to my man Adrian, got my hair done today. I was the second lawyer in Adrian's chair tonight. Another lawyer, non-local, was in there getting himself a clean fade, and it was looking sharp. Great, nice guy, criminal defense attorney from another state who was in town for some work. And let's see, but yeah, my man Adrian, he does a good fade. He really does. I like him. Never wore a fade before Adrian, but I'll never wear anything else after Adrian. Let's see. SJW Slayer Leo says, nice lesbian haircut, Nick. Here's $2 to get a new one. Hey, lesbians are cool. Ellen DeGeneres is friends with George Bush. I saw it in an article. Unreal Endgaming says, glad to see you're doing good. Just wanted to get a quick shill in. Sorry, Nick. Never apologize, buddy. But we're aiming for 700,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and it would be an honor to have you all support the channel. Oh my God, that's a lot of people, dude. If you guys are so inclined, go check out Unreal Endgame. We gotta talk, man. We gotta talk and get on the show. On one of the shows or whatever. Congratulations, man. I hope you make it. That's a great goal. Tucker says, what a twist. Oh, wait, I read that one. Ryan Krupa says, nice haircut, tomato nigger. So there you go. Mr. Leon says, the darkest truth is Nick's love of legal eagle. How dare you? I'll carry that love to my grave. Night Mess says, I will buy an L. Should I sell some L's? That's what we need. The new t-shirt's got to be just an L, right? Finn Frog says your DSP levels are over 9,000. No, they are not. I'm going to tell you how we're going to get DSP levels over 9,000. Very simple. I'm going to buy a whole bucket of those Glenlivet pods, and the Glenlivet Tide Pods or whatever, and we're going to set a dollar amount, and we'll do a stream in which you guys try to kill me with money. That would be DSP, right? Where I'll just pop one of those suckers like an aspirin every X amount of dollars, and then I die promptly afterwards. That'll be great. Cerulean Voice says, that was the best 9 minutes ever outside of sex. Hey, thanks. Cynic in Chief says, Mad Black Atheist is super gay. Careful, man. He's sending the Crips out. I did not say the N-word. How dare you? That was two distinct syllables. Harbinger 345 says, they found the Ron is a cuck channel. 99 Iron Duke says, Nick, please talk to Nerdrotic channel about having a Fandom Menace panel at your convention. I will, but I've got to get more details about the convention. I have to have a convention before I can invite people. Orochitako says, did you see that hilarious tweet Shane put on your alt page? He wants you to be his shoe. Oh, filthy. I don't have an alt page. What are you talking about my intern? Did Shane tweet my intern? Oh, if you guys didn't see this, did you guys see the not Shane Holmberg, but Shane Homelessberg parody account convincing that person to write a to fabricate a Vic Mignogna story, and they agreed to do it? Like, did you guys see that? That was shockingly mind-blowing. Oh my God. Just tell me you're all right. I'm fine, man. Smeat plays. I'm good, buddy. Don't worry. I don't want to be Shane's shoe. I don't want to be eaten. Bad vibes. Bad vibes. Says, after case, can we get a GoFundMe if Vic starts a studio? That'll be up to Vic. I don't know. If he wants to involve me in that, that'll be up to Vic. That's kind of outside of my realm of expertise. Right? Ben Frail says, Hirohei formally accepted NBA's challenge to fight. And I heard that NBA very quickly backed down. Very quickly backed down. Now, no slight to Hirohei, but NBA has some pounds on him. I'm surprised he backed down, man. Surprised. That's a shame. That's a shame. Let's see. Patrick L says, Virginia Beach fines people for cussing. Big Navy towns that they get a lot of money. So New York has precedence for the unconstitutional law. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Cussing in public is a debated topic of the Supreme Court. I think they've held that it's possible to have that an obscenity law if the cursing has no artistic or specific value to it. So that'd be interesting. Illegal alien, man, that's political speech. That's a little bit different than just yelling F on the beach. There's a big difference between making a political statement and just yelling profanity. So Figget Tree says, gosh darn it, Nick, I trusted you. I have a rule, never trust people with prominent noses and curly hair. I've noticed this group tends to lie a lot. I don't know why. Your hair is straight, so I thought I'd be fine. I forget why I'm mad. It's the proboscis. The prodigious proboscis. Finn Frog says, I now have your Drex-faced pic. A relative thinks everything on Twitter is truth. He tried convincing me you were a bad guy by sending me that pic. Oh, he's right. I'm the worst. I'm the worst. Man, I wish I could sit down and hang out with people who think I'm the worst guy on earth. That'd be great. I'd prove them right. Lisa Smith says there's an interesting civil suit in San Fran between Planned Parenthood and anti-activists. Maybe you could look into. The activist is the one who went undercover and exposed them selling baby parts. Oh wait, is this a Project Veritas? That'd be interesting. The Dark Knight says, I wanted your legal input on how New York City is breaking First Amendment with that fine. I want to understand how this even got considered. Can you be more descriptive? Yeah, it's how it got considered is that a legislature can pass laws, even unconstitutional laws, on their face, and they can have two objectives with those laws. One, make a political statement. Two, they can try and get the unconstitutionality of the law overruled by changing something minor, by tweaking something, or by just making a new argument in front of a new Supreme Court. That's how they can do it. They have the power to make law. Supreme Court allegedly has the power to review whether that law is constitutional or not. Good luck finding that in Article 3, but they say they have it. Karoku says, you're like a drunk Bill Nye of law. Great edutainment. Hey, thanks, man. That's a big compliment. Although I try to think that I'm less of a cuck than him, I hope. Mad Gab Adaba, thanks for the donation. Clumsy K says, just for that joke, I have to contribute. I wish I remember what joke that was. I'd say it more. The Anime Collector. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Animat with 2 T's is a great guy and should not be confused with Animat with 1 T. If anyone's going to harass, avoid going after the wrong guy. Okay, make sure you go after the low T animat. He legitimately has less T's than the cool one. Why? Why, universe, are you funny? Ugh! Whoa! Hey, someone in the chat just alerted me. We've got a, check this out. Gosh, this is cool. You guys are amazing. Honestly amazing. Here is a $500 anonymous donation that came in for the GoFundMe. That's again, from the bottom of my cold black heart. Thank you. Thank you. It's not a mad black heart. Make no mistake. Mine functions properly. But it is cold. It is cold. Thank you. That's so crazy. I am blown away by the support you guys have shown Vic. I legitimately thought we might get to $50,000. Might. I set it for 100 to be ambitious. I hoped we get to 50. And so far, 5 times what I thought would be raised. It's insane. Okay. Instinct says, trying to get Vic in Minnesota GalaxyCon. Wish me luck. If there's anything I can do to help out, like if it would take me like denouncing everything or whatever to get him to that con, let me know. Let me know. I don't know what I could do, but if there's anything I can do, please email me. Let me know. Daniel Fork says, Nick, last night's stream was funny, but as a big person and diabetic, we don't claim that one. I don't think anyone claims him. Hey, diabetes isn't funny. Mad Black having diabetes is funny. I guess. I don't know. I didn't make that joke, I don't think. I think that was Jim. I'll take it, though. Yeah, man. You shouldn't. You shouldn't claim him. He went straight off of every reservation that he could find. Is that racist? Is he culturally appropriating reservation culture now? Rude, Mad Black. Rude. I mean, he went nuts. And again, I personally forgive him. Whether or not everybody else does is up to them. As long as he's actually serious in his apology, which I took sincerely. I do forgive him. I think it was stupid, but you know. That iliac scotch is so good. Oh, it's good. Oh. There's a new shirt? Hold on. Ah! Okay. My man Tillip. Hold on. We're gonna shill this one, guys. There's a new shirt available on the Teespring store right now. The L. Just take it, man. Buy it for you. Buy it for your friends. Wait, Rekieta Law wants your support. Why? Buy today. This is why. That's from my thumbnail artist has created. There's a V-neck tee. Is there another kind as well? Like, can we get if it's not out there, can we get a regular neck tee too, man? Just to make sure not everybody likes the V-necks. But gosh, that is funny. Oh man. Okay. All right. There you go. Dude. Zekrom fan 1 says, stay hydrated, everyone. Yes, please stay hydrated. Mars Altor says, what's this BS douchey is saying about you no longer being licensed to practice? I was in Hawaii when my renewal date came up for my license, so I renewed it after the deadline. Just for reference, you don't lose your ability to practice law by renewing after the deadline. Not in Minnesota anyway. I don't know what it's like in North Carolina, but in hindsight, if I would have known they would flip out and say I'm not a lawyer anymore, I would have intentionally done it. I'm really mad that I didn't. I'm really mad that I didn't intentionally miss the deadline. Because the late fee is a small price to pay for the lunacy of these people. VAWBC Carey says, ever try Jim Beam Maple? It's like liquid pancake, but I marinate meats with it before grilling and it's amazing. Marinating, maybe. I don't like the really sweet liquors. Really don't. Really don't. Party 7319 says, Jay Sean is a con slut, the mosquito of the Nile. Oh, gross. And then these said, have you tried Old Rip Van Winkle? It's a Kentucky bourbon released every October. I had the privilege of sniffing a $2,800 Australian bottle last week. Pappy Van Winkle? No, I have not tried Pappy. I have not tried it. It's that people line up like an iPhone to get barrels at the distillery, from what I hear. Shockingly, bars all seem to be able to get tons of bottles of it, but no. No, I've not tried it. I'd love to. Joseph TX says, I never cared for anime until Weeb Wars, and in that short time I learned two things. One, anime was a mistake, and two, soy exposure is terminal. Also, anyone who bullied M-Specs over me, go Minecraft yourself. Yeah, guys, look, the farms enforcing the farms policies is what it is. I like... you know, I wish Joseph TX was not yeeted off the farms, but that's up to them. I'm not involved in that. So don't, but again, like everything, don't bully and harass people. Don't do it. Kalinka Pavlova says, did you see Ellen's non-apology? 9 out of 10 in my opinion. Yes. Ellen handled that well. Cody Byer says, looking forward to the impeachment History Channel videos. Also some shameless shilling. Everyone go check out Imp Story on Indiegogo. Yes, Cody has created a comic book. It's called Imp Story on Indiegogo. I took a look at it. Here, I'll bring it up real quick. If you want to check out Imp Story on Indiegogo, this is up to you. But I'll bring it up real quick here. Show it on stream. I gotta refresh. So he is at $400 out of the $6,000 goal. It is looks like it's like an RPG. It's a graphic novel written and drawn by Cody. It's got heavy RPG themes in it. So you can see this art. Look, you got like a beholder thing here. You got all kinds of stuff. So fun art, fun theme. Imp Story, check it out on Indiegogo. They have the different characters listed. They've got their character classes, and the Demon Lord is the villain. But yeah, you can check it out. There's a reward section here, digital copy and physical copy. You can get a digital copy of this thing for $4, guys, or you can get a physical copy for $20. So check it out. If you like Cody, if you like RPGs, if you like graphic novels, give it a look. Give it a look. He's a good dude who's done a lot of research on behalf of Vic as well. So there you go. Where am I? Here we go. Architect of Fate says we can break the SJWs. The new alt-right dog whistle is replaced with racial slurs with trigger and triggered. Time to start the outrage. Joseph TX says, also Nick, don't encourage people to start a petition to unban me. I wouldn't dare do that. You're just going to make things worse and condemn me to Islamic status. No, I have never suggested that people start a petition to unban you. I just, that's their policies. They're enforcing them. Austin Heartless says, turns out that Ron Toya has more testosterone than NBA. Who would have thought? Rude. Automata says, new motto, that's my secret. I'm always grifting. That's my secret. I'm always grifting. Mr. Schwagen says, can you talk about my $20 super chat you missed. What? Where? Holy cats, there it is. I did miss it. I'm so sorry. Why do you need a license to practice law, but you have to follow the law and can represent you and yourself in cases if wanted? Can you please break it down to some more like to a moron like me? Okay, so they'll always let you represent yourself. And I really do apologize for missing that. It somehow must have come in at the exact right time for me to miss it. You can always represent yourself because you have an absolute right to do so. But the reason they have a license to practice law is probably threefold. Law schools want money. Bar associations want money. They want to be in control, right? They want to control the money. They want to control their competition. They want to control all kinds of things, but they do. So law schools want money. If there's a special license, you can charge more for law school. That's just how it goes. State bar associations want money. If they're in charge of licensing specifically, that's when it's crazier. Like down in other states. In Minnesota, it's not the bar association that's in charge of licensing, but in some states it is. They want access, control, and money. You control your competition. What better system is there than controlling who gets to charge people money for what you do, right? Right? And then finally, the third option, if you want to be deferential to these barely people, you would suggest that they want a set of rules and protections in place for the general public, because the general public is too stupid to know that the person they hired is representing their best interests or not. I'm not joking. That's their opinion of it. Their opinion of it is that you are so dumb that if someone came up to you and said, hey, I'll represent you in front of this governing body, that you would say yes, even if they had no qualification or if you didn't trust them or whatever. You just automatically give them money to represent you. And they're ostensibly trying to protect against that, because the consumer of law is apparently too stupid to understand who's qualified and who's not. That's why. That's why the licensing thing exists. But you can always represent yourself. You don't need a license to do so. In a criminal matter, a court may appoint an attorney for you, although I believe you'll kind of act, if you refuse them, they may appoint them. Oh, excuse me. They may appoint them for you, but you may basically make your own arguments on your behalf. I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't recommend it, but that's kind of the thinking behind it. I hope that helps. I'm very sorry to have missed your super chat. Joseph TX says, shout out to Tex Offender 69ing them Cougars. Last time he was the Cougar. Tonight he is Cougared. P.S. Viva la República de Tejas. Figget Tree says, keep it up though. Missed your streams. Hey, no worries. They're not going anywhere. Joseph TX says, blackface heart. But old Weeb, hey man, says, hey Nick, it's Landon, miss you, big guy. When you letting me back on again, handsome guy? Going to several conventions this next year. Hoping to see you at one. Thanks for the stream. Tell D Masterson to admit he eats beehole. Hey man, we gotta talk. Internet Tab says, Mad Black had a Nick Gah moment. It happens from time to time. Gatsgat says, rackets not a law confirmed drink. Kalinka Pavlova says, NBA wasn't in the Crips, he was in the Crisps. Thank you at Tetsuo Wrath for the inspo. Zypher Warrior says, Drexel shirt, I'll take the L, you can take the D. Sakaki Onsai says, Mad Black Atheist new theme song, Take the L by the Motels. Opportunities are abounding for Vic. We just need to continue to give him love. I agree. Joseph TX's last show, you suggested the Weebs literally petitioned to get me unbanned directly after reading my super chat. Did I do that? I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. I don't remember suggesting they petitioned to get you unbanned, but maybe I did. If I did, I apologize. Or I was trying to sabotage you. One of those two. Okay, now let's read the justice chats here. We've got Michael Rule says, only the stupid and really smart will never change. From Confucius. Deshaun says, hey, Nikki, I'm also pro-Vic. Also, here's my change and reply to my email so I can be on your show. Sounds good. Beige Devil says, can Ty still make a motion to reconsider the judgment, or does he have to file an appeal? He can make a motion to reconsider. I don't know if he will or not, or if they'll just go straight to appeal. The problem with the judgment is that it's so thin on facts, it may be better to just appeal rather than to have him reconsider. That'll be up to them. I don't know. Sean says, hey, look at those boomer. Hey, look at those boomer. Hey, look at those boomer ass clothes. Boomer, 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 booming boomer. My son's a boomer. Felipe Move says, did you ban the masks? No, I did not. Felipe Move says, never mind. Weird. The first mask doesn't work, but the others did. I think that's like a function of Streamlabs. The first one doesn't work, but the second one, the rest of them tend to. Deshaun says, you forgot to read mine. I didn't forget, buddy. I do the $20 ones first. Blue Samurai Zero says, jumping in way late. We weren't sure, but prior to your apoplectic apology, the evidence was mounting. You've been to so many cons. Now we know who the real con slut is. At least in Hawaii, you were gate and laid. Ooh. 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 Justice Thunderrod says, when can Trump execute Order 66 on the soy boys and assume his rightful place on the golden throne? Immediately. Do it, Trump. Dread Clown says, Hill Dog is now considering running for president. At some point, it's just sad. I don't think she's considering running for anything. DLJ Screwjob says, when can we get Drexel's opinion on Whitey Toye cucking a black guy MBA? As soon as I can arrange Drexel to be on the show, I will do that. I will do that. All right. Well, guys, that's the show for tonight. We will be on Twitch prior to 2 a.m. I'm going to run up. I'm going to cook up some ramen noodles because I'm so freaking hungry for ramen noodles. And then I will be playing something. I may be playing Path of Exile. Still trying to lay out my build. But I may play something else instead. I haven't decided. We'll figure it out. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me tonight. I will see you tomorrow night. Topic to be announced at some point tomorrow on the intern's Twitter channel as soon as I send it to her. So thank you for watching. Have a good night. Don't let the ridiculous people get you down. Peace. Peace. Oh, look at that. We got the whiskey drinking lawyer song. They hate this song, by the way. They find the words disturbing. Disturbing because they're normal people. They're disturbed. They're disturbed by the words. All right, guys. Have a good night. Peace. Peace. Kids asleep tight. We'll hear some lawsplaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes better. Raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an art bag, a bow, more a love rug. The spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lawsplaining tonight. From the white shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful,
from Dante to Drexel, they bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed, so pour out a glass for the tea. Post on Twitter as we hear lawsplaining tonight. From the wide shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed.